So for this warm-up, it's a bit challenging. This is one of the pure math style questions that sometimes show up in the applications course. There was a question similar to this on an exam a couple of years ago. And so what we definitely want to do here is pay attention to a couple of important parts, and we want to use the calculator, the GDC, to help us answer this. So we have a function, and it says this function is only true for this domain. This is what IB loves. They love giving you this restricted domain. So it's only true for these values, except x cannot equal 2. And we want to find the range of this. A lot of students try to find the range by hand. You don't want to do that. You want to use the calculator to help you. And so go ahead and graph this in the calculator. And notice that, again, x is between -1 and 5. So when we graph this in the calculator, we can see immediately the entire function. But this function has a restricted domain from -1 to 5. So what you want to do is you want to see what is the y value when x is -1. To do that, you're going to press Menu, Trace, Graph Trace, and when you go Menu, Trace, Graph Trace, you want to type in -1, enter. And so what you should be able to see is that there's a point at -1, 0. And then you want to press also, you don't have to go Menu, Trace, Graph Trace again. You can just press 5, enter. 5, enter. And you have 0.117. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a little screenshot of this so I can draw on it easier and bring it onto this page here. Oh, a little bit too big. Okay, so if we remind ourselves, what we have here is okay. We found Menu, Trace, Graph Trace. We found the point right here is the point -1, 0. And this was the point 5, 0.117. Okay, and so what we have, I have a cat playing on my lap right now, being very silly. We can't see this. There we go. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is we need to find the range for that domain. Now remember, range is y values. So we want to know what are the possible y values when x is restricted from here to here. Remember, range goes, domain, we want to think of as from left to right, all the values from left to right. And for range, we want to think of all the values from bottom to top. And so I'm going to start at the bottom. How far low does this function go? Well, it doesn't really show us, but I can imagine that I think it does keep going down forever and ever and ever. And so it goes low to -infinity. So it goes from -infinity, and we want to see how high up it goes. Well, it goes up, 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 and then it actually stops here. Right, it stops there at -1, 0. And since I'm talking about the range are the y values. The y value here it stops at is 0. And 0 is included in the range. We never include -infinity. Then where do the y values pick up again? Well, this was the y value at 0.117. And so it looks like there's a tiny little gap on this function between 0 and 0.117. So again, I'm reading from bottom to top. I go from bottom up to 0, y value of 0, and then it starts again at 0.117 and goes, it looks like, up, 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 up forever, up to infinity. And if you remember, if you've seen this before, we put a union between these two. You could also write this as y is less than or equal to 0, or y is greater than or equal to 0.117, if you like writing with inequalities rather than set notation. Either way is correct. I know this is a really tricky problem, but I wanted to show you an example, and you might see one like this again on a summative or a formative. So there you go.